Everyone, and welcome to Live with OKclarity.com, the live experience that will bring you clarity on the topic here tonight of breaking bad habits, 5 secrets to harnessing gravity. Tonight's live stream will be 30 minutes long. Around the 25-minute mark, I will review and answer some of the questions. And if you have any questions at any time during this presentation, you can drop them in the chat. But I won't address them till the end, but feel free to drop them at any point. Quick and important disclaimer, everything discussed tonight is for educational and entertainment purposes only, and none of it is a substitute for professional mental health, wellness, medical, or financial advice. All right, so who am I? My name is Dr. Benson Fox. I'm a PsyD, psychology doctorate, and I also act as a life coach, and I help Jewish men achieve greater levels of joy, balance, and personal growth, and to get breakthroughs in their personal life in areas where they're stuck, to get momentum, to help them reach their aspirations. So let's discuss gravity, bad habits. Let's discuss bad habits for a second. Bad habits seem to control us. We feel trapped by them in many ways, and many of us just feel like that we just given up. Right? How do we break through? How do we take back control of our lives? And many times these things can be, screen addiction. Really, and anytime you use the word addiction, it automatically means that you have something is controlling you in your life. So how do we break through these addictions and leave them behind? So there are a lot of answers to this. But today we're going to discuss one primary strategy, which is harnessing gravity. Let's get to that in a minute. But first thing to understand is that everyone has bad habits, right? This isn't like some subgroup of the population, the people who have addictions, the people who have bad habits. I think between screens, between food, other substances, etc., alcohol, everyone has their poison, so to speak, their vice. So that's just something that's comforting to understand. This is completely normal to have these bad habits, and some obviously are more destructive and more pervasive than others. So why is this topic important? Because our bad habits are oftentimes, they're expensive, they're time consuming, right? If a person's addicted to screens, they're spending, could be half the day, most of the day on screens. A recent study showed people spend most of the day on social media. It takes up a lot of space in your mind, just the whole shame cycle, fighting it, coming back and forth. And it undermines our sense of self-esteem, because we're like, we deep down know that we have this part of our life that we can't control. It's like, it really knocks us down to feel this way. It makes us not feel like that we're a part of something that's greater. And we're not living up to who we are, to who we know ourselves to be. We're not aligned with our essence, with our true purpose. And this could be regarding overeating. This could be screen time. It could be just being sedentary, alcoholism. The list goes on and on. So I just think that again, it's expensive, right? You could spend tons of money on drugs, on cigarettes, etc. The list goes on and on. So it's so expensive. It takes up so much of our mind, takes up so much of our time. It affects the people around us. And let's just dwell on this for a minute, right? All this time we're spending, who should we be spending it really with? It's with our family, with our loved ones, investing in ourselves and our future. So the question becomes, why are we not doing that? It's because this part of ourselves, we enjoy the benefits of this bad habit. We're enjoying what it's giving to us. We're not willing to let go. We're not willing to believe in ourselves enough to think that we can break through. And we've already tried, and I've tried so many things, and there's a lot of yish, there's a lot of surrender, a lot of giving up that goes into this. So how do we break through this? How do we overwhelm these costs and get through to a big, bright future that we all want for ourselves going forward? So let's discuss a few solutions here, but all these solutions are centered on the same premise and a certain wisdom that I think people of greatness really have this aspect in them. What is this piece? It's understanding our limitations. It's having this humility to understand how little energy we have, how little focus we have, how little willpower we have. And when we understand how little that is, it brings us to the wisdom, brings us to the insight of choosing our battles. But it also brings us to another insight, which is that when you realize how dependent you are and how limited you are with your energy, you start looking for alternative sources of energy in this world, right? Israel doesn't have the most weapons, right? It turns to America, the United Kingdom, Germany, others to get weapons. It understands that it can't get everything itself. It looks towards other sources. So I think that's a really important way for us to see this, to see our personal growth, and especially bad habits. When you're looking at a bad habit, you understand that to overcome this is going to take a monumental amount of effort, perhaps more effort than you can even bring to the table. So the question becomes, if this is more effort than we're going to bring to the table, how are we going to do it? So we need to find other sources of energy. I call it gravity. We need to take the gravity of the world and make it work in our favor. So what do I mean by that? So it means making your goals the default. It means making your success the default, and making failure something you have to apply effort to do, something you have to give thought to, something that you have to, effort. It's more complicated to fail than it is to succeed. How do we do that? So I think the first thing that you need to do, and this really to me demonstrates whether you really want to, if your willpower is really there, if you're really genuine about making the change, is you have to limit the access, limiting access, right? This can mean, let's say it's an internet addiction. So that would mean like a filter, or getting rid of Wi-Fi or internet access in your home. Whether, if it's alcohol, no alcohol in the home, right? If it's overeating or eating unhealthy foods, not having access to that in the home, etc. It means not having it around, not making it so convenient and comfortable for you to fail, to give in to the temptation, right? Your temptation, right? You need to have that humility to understand your willpower will fade with time. And if the temptation is constant because it's always in your periphery, it's always in your environs, then that's not it. Then you're setting yourself up for failure. Your gravity is failure, because the gravity is the thing that's the constant pull is going to be pulling you towards, if you always have the sugary snack and the thing, that eventually you come home from a hard day, you're feeling hungry, no supper's ready, and then that thing will pull towards you, and then you're going to end up succumbing to that, assuming that's a goal in your life. So what do you need to do? You need to not have it around. You need to replace it with positive, alternative, healthy mechanisms, right? You need to have healthier snacks in the home, alternative ways of having fun, having positivity, outlets, right? You could have an indoor gym in your house, etc. So I think number one is limiting access to temptation. And then at the other end of that same thing, you need to write Somer Rav Aseto, right? Why do those two things have to be said? Right? The first four words of all of Tehillim, right? All of good and evil could be, summed up in that way. So why are those four words put next to each other? Remove evil and do good. Because in order to maintain the gain of removing evil, you then need to immediately replace it with something wholesome, something that's good, something that's moral, something that's that will give you nutrition, the good stuff. So how do we get past this? So number one, we have to limit access to temptation, increase access to healthy things in our life, right? Let's say a person is not ready to, let's say, give up watching television, right? It's not the healthiest outlet. So what do? You say, I'm canceling my Netflix subscription. I'm willing to go to a theater. Totally legitimate. I'm not going to guilt trip myself about it. I'm willing to go watch the show I want to watch. How often are you going to end up going to the theater in a month? Once, twice, once a week at most? If Netflix, you always have the subscription, you even feel obligated to use it, to utilize the subscription. So the Jew in you might not appreciate wasting that $17 a month, whatever it is, whatever they've increased it to these days. So the point is that I'm giving you a practical example of usually outside the home. That's usually the answer. And if it has to be inside the home, and there has to be obstacles that you're placing in front of yourself, such as a filter on your phone. It could be, putting it in the freezer in the house that's the furthest away, that's the least convenient place, etc. But usually just not in the home is usually going to be the cleanest, simplest, easiest solution to a lot of access. And that in itself will make gravity, right? The default will be, now I'm hungry, I'm tired, a long day, I'm stressed, I want to eat something. Maybe instead of having the sweet thing of the ice cream or the cookie or whatever it is, now I'm going to have the fruit, the smoothie, whatever I have in the house, and that will replace it, just to give you an example of that, something that could be a wholesome alternative. Another way to do it, internet, you could have time limits, you could have, filters, or you could just say, I'm only going to access, let's say I need to access my social media, not on my phone. My phone is too comfortable, it's too easy, it's too convenient, and then I'm going to check it every time I go to the bathroom, etc., etc. Whenever I have my phone with me, I don't want to have access to that, so I put it only in my desktop. So just, again, these are just, we could all brainstorm together, but I'm just giving you a flavor, and you could then brainstorm in your own life what that can look like to help break bad habits. Right, you could add a gym to your home. I've seen that to be a very positive thing. It makes it easy to exercise. You could make a to-go bag for your gym, right, and put in it your favorite goodies. And then, again, you could fill your home with yummy but healthy, wholesome food, and that could be a way to Sor Meira, turn away from evil, but immediately, Asay Tov, immediately replace it with good, wholesome things. So number one, we're saying limited access to temptation, and then we're saying increased access to healthy things. Number two is to make unhealthy something that's harder and making healthy easier, right? So one's about limiting access, and one's just making it harder and easier, right? You can make it exercise easier if you add a social component to it. You work out with a friend, or you work out with a trainer, right? Don't hire for your home to have like a surround system, like a perfect TV experience, because then you're likely to want to TV more often. You want to make it almost uncomfortable, less easy to do, right? Don't have, you can only say, I only drink alcohol if it's going to be, bought by me, or I'm going to fill my house with other drinks that don't have our minimal alcoholic content, to pull myself away from that way of doing things, etc. Just overall making, and that's, again, this is the gravity. The harder, the more, adding more steps, right? You could say that in order for me to go to ice cream, I have to go to the ice cream store, TV, to the theater, to all these things. You're just trying to add more steps. You're trying to make it more challenging. You're making it more complicated to do something wrong. You're making gravity work in your favor. You're making the default doing something good, wholesome, and aligned with your goals and aspirations. Number three is making unhealthy complicated and making healthy simple. So how do we do that? So number one, we can prepare in advance, right? We said the to-go bag for the gym, right? It has the socks, it's got the sweatband, it's got the water bottles already built in, it's got, all the clothes, all the things that you need, the sneakers, the change of clothes, everything that you need. Right? One idea that, I've applied in my life, is instead of having like a subscription to, let's say, a TV thing, Prime Video, you could get a rental for a show. You're paying about like $4 or $5 for one sitting. So naturally, you're not gonna do that so often. Even though, let's say on Netflix, you're gonna end up paying that through your monthly subscription, but I think just paying per individual thing, that will make it harder for you to do that. So that's a way to making it more complicated. I have to click like 7 times before I get, I have to find their show, I have to look it up, and then I have to do it, and then I have to see if it's a rental, etc., and then see how much it costs, and then just click, and then are you sure, right? So you're making it more complicated, you're adding more steps to it, and you're making the psychology of it being that, is it really worth it for me? Each time it makes you rethink it again. And that's what you want working in your favor. Because again, you don't want to rely on this willpower of yours. You don't want to be relying on this, your attention, your focus, your desire for change. You want to be relying on gravity. And gravity, there's a tremendous amount of energy there, much more than what you have, again, to work in your favor. So let's give some more examples, right? Right? Let's say someone wants to learn Torah, right? We said to replace it in a way that's also easy and simple. So, when I started recently doing Araisa, right? It's a learning program. You do an Amud a day, Chazar, this, that. I'm not keeping to it perfectly, but I'm doing the best I can. But one thing I did do, and it was hard for me because I'd like to spend my money more frugally. So I went to Zimmerman's and I bought myself a Mesivta hardcover, full price. That was hard for me, but what it did was, now that I have access to this Mesivta in my house, like the best resource for finishing the Amud that I could possibly, my daily Amud, it made it so much easier for me, made me so much more likely to now complete the Amud. Because now when I go to my Chavrusa, I don't need to go up to the second floor of my Yeshiva Gedola 5 towns to go get the Mesivta, bring it down, and then return it. It's adding steps to doing something good and wholesome. I don't want that. I want to make doing good and wholesome being something that's easy, that's simple, and easy access, etc. So that's why So you want to make it the easiest and best, resources. You want to have like the Bar Ilan and what's the other one called that they have 1,000. They have even more sources. You want to make it that to prepare a shiur to whatever you're up to in your Judaism, to have these all the best resources, the newest resources in your house. Maybe you want to have, for certain types of access, you want only your spouse can open something, maybe on your phone. They have a lock on a certain amount of time that you have. Let's say you want to limit how much news coverage. You could add these locks on your phone that after a certain amount of time it locks down. You need your wife or your husband to unlock it for you. What's that going to do? You're going to feel stupid going and asking them to do it every day. So you're going to end up doing is you're just going to, here and there, you may ask them, but overall, you're going to maintain it within a certain limit. You're making it harder. You're making it more embarrassing to do something evil, to doing something not full-on evil. I mean, like your own limited form of it, but something that's unhealthy for you. Another thing is, for the outdoors, right? To be outdoors, you don't want to be living outdoors to be something that's so complicated and difficult. So what do you want to do? So maybe you want to get some bug spray or something in your house, mosquito shield, whatever they have, to make outdoors a place that's nice and comfortable. You have nice outdoor furniture that's not like mold and water and gucky and dirty. Maybe a tent, maybe something that's really nice to be outdoors, because you're trying to promote in your home an environment of being, let's say, sun exposure, being around nature. You want to make that the comfortable thing to do. Then you have to, invest in that and make that happen. Right? For indoors, maybe make the air conditioning 75, 76, or higher, whatever it is, or turn it off. To make indoors, because you want to, let's say you're making this choice that you want to make being outdoors more wholesome and healthy for yourself. Make being indoors uncomfortable. Make it, okay, if I'm indoors, no screens. I can only have screen if I'm outdoors. Whatever it is, air conditioning. It could be that's where the good food is. You put the good food outside, or dinner served outside, so then people go outside to get it. Your point is, you're making the default, you're making the energy, you're making the gravity work in your favor, work towards your goals, not work against your goals. I just think this is such a critical piece to, breaking bad habits. That when you're making bad habits, you have to, number one, right? You have to have this humility to say that I want my energy to work for me, not against me, right? You need to have the humility to understand that you have such limited energy, and you're frail, right? We say in Yom Kippur and, throughout the davening, we're basar v'dam, we're meat and flesh, right? We have such a limited ability to resist temptation, right? There's the halachos of yichud, there's the halachos of, of nazir, but there's many, of ishi yefas toar. There's so many things where we acknowledge our limitations. We acknowledge how easy it is for us to slip, to fail, to fall. So we need to acknowledge that and pick our battles, but not just pick our battles, but also to make gravity work in our favor, limit access to temptation, make unhealthy be harder, make healthy easier, limit access to certain things, and to unhealthy things, increase access to healthy things, to spiritual things, to Torah things. And then make unhealthy uncomplicated. There's a lot of steps. I have to go here. I have to ask my wife. I have to go here. I have to buy it. I have to separate, and so many more clicks. So that's what I would say. All right. So now we're going to do the question and answers. Someone seems to put in a question here. I never used to have Instagram, but it's my coping strategy. I like following the therapist and being part of the Q&As. What do I do? So that's a great question. So again, I don't know you personally. So again, any advice I'm going to give would be generic. However, what I would say is this, what makes something an addiction, there's coping strategies that are healthy, and there's ones that are less healthy, and there are those who are completely destructive, right? So Instagram, I wouldn't say it's the most destructive one out there, right? There's drugs, there's things when people are watching things on screens that they shouldn't. There's just overall screen addiction. There are ones that are more severe, I would say, than what you're describing. So I think the key piece to know if this is something that how you should, you want to use this as a resource for yourself, but at the same time, don't want it to be stuck in it, I would say is that you have to make sure you're in control. And there are ways that you could get control. right? On your phone filter, maybe you should consider installing something. On Apple has a natural thing where you could limit, you could create a block that only like a spouse or loved one or friend that could have access to it. After a certain amount of time you're spending on it, then that's it, and then you can't be spending more time on it, right? That could be one solution, right? Another solution could be, I only give myself, I'm only allowed to have access on specific times of day, or to have it only access from a desktop, right? Or only to have access to it. Let's say you want it for your OKclarity presentation. So you can only have it, right? It's going to be at 9:00, right? That's going to be the time on one of the days. So make it that is one of the days that you're going to, that is the time that would be available for you to, be on the OKclarity. So again, you're looking to limit access. You're looking to make it more complicated for yourself. And you're looking to make it harder. And I would say slowly wean off of it, right? I think for most people, there are some people who are the type, they're all or nothing people, right? And I think that's something that, if that works for you, great. But for most of us, it needs to be done incrementally, right? You can't just go from Instagram like all the time to then nothing, because then you need to, and I would say you need to replace it. So I would say try to find alternative. I'd say, Instagram is easy, it's fun. I would try to find maybe something that's a little more wholesome, but something that might replace it for yourself, right? Maybe you go scroll through a Meaningful Minute instead. I don't know, might not do it for you, but the gist is you're looking to you need to replace it. So I would say at the same time that you're looking to limit it and make it more complicated and confusing and harder to do it, you have to have gravity work in your favor to also do the reverse. So I hope that let me know if that addressed your question or what you think of that, if that made sense to you. Let me know. If anyone else had any questions, now's the time for that. I'll give everyone a minute right now to put down any questions that they may have regarding this presentation, or if you came in the middle, any questions you may have on this topic of breaking bad habits. Thank you. Oh, of course, my pleasure. I hope this was something that was helpful to you. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to add it now. Anyone who has any questions at all for me tonight here, I am open to them. Even if you weren't here for the whole time, that's okay. That's the nature of these Instagram lives. Someone said, I missed it. Please save it. Yes, of course. It will be saved. It will be on OKclarity's on their profile. So you could always go back and to access it from there. It should probably pop up about 20 minutes after this presentation's over. It should probably pop up, maybe a half hour, depending on how they load it, of course. Anyone else, last questions? I'll give us another 10 seconds for any questions. Then we're going to do a quick wrap, and then we will call it. Five, four, three, two, and one. Okay, so let's do a quick wrap, right? We're just saying overall this idea of humility, that you need to acknowledge that the way that we, that human beings, we're frail, we're fragile, we're likely to fail. And many times when we have bad habits, we feel stuck. We feel, so I think the point here is that when we're engaging in, when we're engaging in bad habits, we need to understand that our ability to overcome them is going to be contingent on our ability to access the energy and effort of things outside of us, because our own energy and efforts, right? Part of that's going to be davening, learning, meaning increasing your spiritual energy, meaning social connections, getting support from others on your goals, etc. But I'm not focusing on those aspects as much just here today, not because they're less important, but because I'm focusing on an element that can be overlooked. This is a very behavioral approach, the one we're taking here today. It's not the one I usually like to take. But for this, I think that in order for you to show that you're serious about your overcoming a bad habit, and you're not just kind of like virtue signaling to yourself that, I'm trying to overcome it, but really deep down you're looking just to maintain in your life, is that you have to make it, we said three things. You have to make it harder, you have to make it more complicated, and you have to limit access, right? And you have to replace that with increasing access to healthy things, making healthy simple, and making healthy easier, right? And we gave a lot of examples for this, right? We said TV only in a theater, internet with time limits, filters, maybe only access on desktop, gym in the house filled with yummy, healthy food, right? Inside, maybe less screens, maybe less AC, right? Outside, you have the screen protectors and you have the, no mosquitoes, and you make it that there's a nice ambiance, a nice outdoor setting, a nice furniture, delicious food and snacks outside. You're trying to create an environment where the home is a place of wholesomeness, healthiness, where that's the default, where that's going to work in your favor, where that's aligned with who you are and what your goals are. And that's just such a critical piece, and that's such a critical aspect of something to make it aligned with who you are. That's really what I want, right? I hope tonight's conversation provides some clarity on breaking bad habits, 3 secrets on how to harness gravity and make it work in your favor. And I want you to walk away with that. Make unhealthy effortful by limiting access. Make healthy fun, rewarding, simple, and easy. Thank you for being here today. I look forward to spending time with you all again very soon. And, if you want to have a conversation about how to do this in your life, feel free to see for more information about me on OKclarity.com. This is Dr. Benson Fox, ID here today. I hope this was helpful for you, and have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care. See you again soon.